a drop of meat, and there's the gid is there. Actually, the gid doesn't mean the gid anasha, or maybe it does mean the gid anasha. And the bone makes it into a kazayas, and this meat you don't chew, you just swallow it whole. That's what Rashi says. Ela boilet. You just swallow it, and therefore you'll be able to get the kazayas out of this. The Gemara says, okay, so just 1 second. I just want to point out that we always said that if someone has to take a medicine that's not kosher, so you swallow it. And you swallow it, it's not considered achila. It's not considered derech achila. So the way it works is like this. If someone is dangerously ill, so you can take any medicine even if it's not kosher. If someone is not dangerously ill, achila she'ein by sakana. So Issa Darabanan could be done. Issa Darabanan could be done for achila she'ein by sakana. So if you eat something that's not kosher, a pill that's not kosher, but you don't actually eat it, you swallow it, swallowing isn't considered derech achila. Comes along this Gemara and tells me that's not accurate. Swallowing is a derech achila. Look, we asked the question, according to Rish Lakish, how are you chayav? How are you chayav? Ever, he says, you swallow it. It creates a problem for the poskim that say they're going to need to resolve this issue. Okay.
But a pill you can't eat. I'm saying meat you can chew and eat.
Right. That could be a difference. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Or it could be exactly the opposite. It could be a pill you swallow. This you eat.
Right.
And nevertheless. Okay. Rabbi Lazar says, we're lenient, by the way. We're lenient. If someone needs a medicine that we say, you take it in a pill form, unless you can get a kosher one or whatever, the Rabbanim are lenient. It's just this is a Gemara that has to be resolved for that. Rabbi Lazar Amar afilu chalkam yibachutz nami chayev. We didn't mention Rabbi Lazar before. We said there's a machlekes between Rish Lakish, according to Ravin, Rish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan, about if you divide it inside your mouth and you take 2 stages in swallowing. Now Rabbi Lazar is on the other side. Here's Rabbi Yochanan, Rish Lakish. Rabbi Lazar is over here, Rabbi Lazar ben Padas.
He was a student?
Student and the Chavrusa at one point, which Rabbi Yochanan didn't appreciate his learning with him. He said he didn't ask enough questions. Rish Lakish would ask him questions, would contest everything Rabbi Yochanan said. Rabbi Lazar would prove everything Rabbi Yochanan said. He said, I don't need proof, I know I'm right. So he didn't appreciate that. So Rabbi Lazar says what no one else said. He says even if you divide it outside your chayev and you eat it in two steps. He says the fact that there's a division in when it's being brought. That means there's a division of time of when you're eating it. That doesn't mean that you didn't eat it. So a delay doesn't mean that it didn't happen. And it appears from where the letter is here that the halacha is like Rabbi Lazar. Okay. Amar Reb Shimon ben Lakish. Rish Lakish says, Kazayas sha'amru, when we said that you have to eat a kazayas, chutz mishal bein hashinayim, that doesn't count for what's stuck still between the teeth. We're talking about an exact measurement that if there's food that's between the teeth, you can't include that into the kazayas. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Afim bein hashinayim. Rabbi Yochanan says no. What's between the teeth you can include. Amar Rav Papa. Rav Papa says b'shal bein hashinayim dekuli amalei pligi. Actually, the food in the teeth, everyone agrees, doesn't count. Rabbi Yochanan didn't really mean that. Ki pligi. What is the machlekes Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish? Bein hachanichayim. I don't know why it's why is chanichayim? Why is that like a plural word? It means the palate, right?
Is that what it means?
Is that what it is in English? Bein hachanichayim, by the palate.
It means the tonsils. Bein hachanichayim. The palate.
On the palate.
I don't know why it says plugged in.
If you have food that still remains in the palate, can you include that?
Where the heck is the palate?
I guess the back, on the top of the mouth in the back.
The palate is your tongue.
Right?
Basically your tongue.
Uh-huh. Maybe that's what it means.
Pieces of food that stick to the palate benefit the throat, i.e. the taste buds of the palate and the throat entrance, but not the stomach.
Are there taste buds on the top of your mouth?
Not that I know of. I could be wrong, Alex.
You always see that chart with the salty and the spicy and the thing on the picture of a tongue. Maybe you use your tongue to push it up to the palate. And you taste with your tongue, but it's against the palate. Maybe that's I don't know. I was just curious about the word chanichayim. Why are we using a plural word for a singular palate, right? Like bein hashmashas. Like what's shemesh?
Shmashis is the moon and the sun. It's between the moon and the sun.
Uh-huh. So the moon, you have to answer that the moon is called the shemesh.
Right.
Apparently the palate is the roof of the mouth.
Okay. So Mar Savar, one holds harinena groina bekazayas. The fact is, it's up there. It's your throat is getting the pleasure of a kazayas. By the way, Rabbi Yochanan held that before, that was the throat pleasure. Mar Savar chila b'meyav binan. Rish Lakish holds that it needs to go down into the stomach. It didn't go down into the stomach. It's not counted. Amar Abasi.
Eventually you get down there, but not the Kedefilas present.
Maybe later, right? And Rish Lakish held that you're pater if it's divided.
Right.
Amar Abasi, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Achal chatzi zayas. Rabasi says in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, if someone eats a half a zayas, veikiyah, but then he spits it up, he vomits it up. And then he goes and he eats another chatzi zayas.
What about if you ate the same one?
Oh, 1 second, hold it. We'll get to that. So, chayiv. He's chayiv. This is Rabasi speaking. My timer. What's the reason why he's chayiv? He had the pleasure in his throat of a kazayas. That's the way we explained it before as well, right? That if you divide it up and you swallow it in two, the throat still has the pleasure of a kazayas. Boy Rabbi Lazar me Rabasi. Rabbi Lazar asks Rabasi, Achal chatzi zayas v'ikiyoi, v'chazav achle mahu. Let's say you swallow the same one, if it's a chatzi zayas. You eat a chatzi zayas, half an olive size, he vomits it up, and then he eats it back again. So mahu. The Gemara says, Maikami bayalei. What's his question? Yavi ikoli, lo yavi ikol. Does he want to know if it's already considered digested or not? V'ti bayalei kazayas. Why is he asking on a half a zayas? He could ask on a whole zayas. He eats it once, he vomits it, and then he eats it again. Does he get malchus twice for eating a second time? Why are you confusing this with a half a zayas? Right. If your question is if it's considered digested, so ask the question if it's considered digested. Ella, rather, his question is, Ibasar groini azlinan, Ibasar meyav azlinan. Do I follow the throat or do I follow the stomach? Now, in the stomach, he only has a half a zayas. Or do I follow the throat and he swallowed it twice?
Right. It's not digested.
So the tifsha leimid Rabasi. Why doesn't he answer from what Rabasi said? Okay, now Rabasi said that you follow the throat because if you swallowed it in 2 gulps, so that's good enough, and that would mean that you follow the throat because the throat had the pleasure of two half zaysim. So the Gemara explains what's going on like this. We have a statement of Rabasi, swallows 2 half zaysim, but he vomited the first one before he swallowed the second one. And then we have a question of Rabbi Lazar if he swallows the same one twice. And we asked, why didn't he answer it from Rabasi? The Gemara explains, Ravasi gamre yakirle. Ravasi forgot his learning. V'asar Rabbi Lazar lad kurei. And Rabbi Lazar's coming to remind him. This is an interesting historical piece. We know this with Rabbi Yosef, right? We know this with that Rabbi Yosef forgot his learning, and then Abaya would remind him. We would ask him questions and say, "Did you not teach us this and that?" V'hachi karmelei, and this is how he's trying to remind him. He says, "Lama li chatzi zayis acher lema mar b'didei." He's telling him, "Why are you using a different zayis? Why doesn't the master say with its own zayis?" Because you can learn two things from that. First of all, you can learn if it's considered digested. It's not that it's not considered digested, and you can swallow it again, and it's considered the full prohibition. Because we can also learn that we follow the throat, not the stomach. Ishtik. So Rav Asi was quiet. He doesn't respond. Amalei, he says, Maifis Adar. That's like the greatest of the generation. Zimnin Sagian, was it not many times Amrit Kamei de Rabbi Yechanan, that you said in front of Rabbi Yechanan, Va'amarlach, and he said to you, Reinena Groinim Bekazayas, that we follow the throat. So he was reminding Ravasi of what the conversation that Ravasi had with Rabbi Yechanan, that you follow the throat, and a half a zayas swallowed twice would have been the same as what Ravasi said.
Yeah, there could be Rabbi Yechanan saying you go even after the throat, but he still needs the stomach as well. Maybe you need both.
No, but because the Isser is performed.
Once you swallow it,
if you have hana of a full zayas
in your throat,
you
don't need the stomach.
According to Rabbi Yechanan, no. According to Rish Lakish, yes. Okay, let's stop at Hadran Lach Gila Nasha Bli Neder.
I was going to say it's a good place to start tomorrow.
Yeah.
But now we're up to 8.
Exactly.